If you seek to shape the future, listen to those who design it. Welcome to If You Seek by Useberry, where expert voices guide us to UX wisdom. Leishi Grubeto here, your host on the journey of If You Seek. If you are seeking a different way to learn and understand users, this is the podcast for you. Maybe you are questioning why If You Seek. Picture as an open door to curiosity. In every episode, we will strive to explore and gain deep insight from experts shaping their domains. We want you to feel enlightened, educated, or even inspired after each episode. The idea is to foster connections within the UX industry. Now, an important information for you. Uncover the secrets of your website with Useberry usability testing. Pinpoint issues, explore user perspectives, and make decisions backed by data. Your website optimal performance starts with Useberry. Dive into useberry.com. Join us on social and share your thoughts in the comments. Your journey to enhance user experience begins now. Our guest speaker of the day, Joy Mentzing, is a senior experience design consultant of Omax, a digital strategy consultancy with its headquarters in Munich. Throughout her career, Joy's portfolio has expanded from development target group and personas to UX research, conversion rate optimization, and implementation roadmap development. She guides projects for a wide array of B2B, B2C clients, from the inception of UX strategy and ideation to seamless execution, with a particular emphasis on e-commerce and lead generation. With a foundation in business administration, Joy crafts data-driven strategies and concepts that harmonize business objectives with user needs. Passionate about driving tangible results and creating meaningful user experience, Joy fosters cross-functional collaboration within teams. Before Omax, Joy worked in diverse marketing positions at Microsoft, BMW, and Condé Nast, covering areas such as sales advertising, category management, to a product and brand communication management. Get ready to learn from Joy in this episode of Educating Clients in User Experience Research. Let's start with the show. Hi everybody, my name is Leishi Grubeto, and this is another amazing episode of If You Seek. I'm super excited. I'm recording from the beautiful island of Puerto Rico where it always is summer. But today with me, it's Joy. Hi, Joy. Welcome to If You Seek. And where are you?
Hey, everyone. I'm so happy to be on this podcast. I'm actually recording from Munich, so from Germany. Not that warm and hot, actually. It's raining and cloudy. So, yeah, I hope that we tap into summer soon. But at the moment, it's actually not very nice.
I always try to say that Puerto Rico is beautiful, and some of the guest speakers are, okay, you're in the summertime. Okay, got it. I want to go to Germany. I think it was last year. It was last year. Yeah, I was specifically on Berlin, and it was super nice. The climate, it was fine. A little bit cold for me, a Caribbean girl, but it was cool. It was nice.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. At the moment, it's like 1 week it's sunny and you can actually go for a swim. I mean, Munich is also nice. I know Berlin is nice, but Munich too. And yeah, at the next day you actually need to stay at home because it's raining. So it's still vibes here.
I will put Munich on my list, definitely. So
Yeah.
happy to have the opportunity to learn from you in this episode of Educating Client in User Research. Are you ready to share some insights?
Oh, sure. Of course. I'm always ready.
So let's dive in. I want to start with the big picture. In the industry, everyone wants their moment of attention, and we know this. For example, in my case, I'm an accessibility advocate, and I always recommend putting accessibility on the beginning. And I don't know, developers can say like, we need to be embedded from the beginning in the conversations. And I know that is also true for user experience research. So that being said, let's talk about resistance. What are some of the common objections that stakeholders raise against investing in user research, and what strategies can we address to actually embed this from the beginning?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's actually very, actually, I totally agree with what you said. So basically, us as UX designers, we're totally convinced that we can only create user-centered design when we ensure that we collaborate with the user firsthand from the beginning, but that's not often the case, right? And when we also address the roots of the challenge, I personally have also the experience that even if UX professionals might be integrated than ever before, we are still in a discipline where many stakeholders, not only clients, but also colleagues, friends, they don't really know the world of user experience, especially also compared to the discipline of design, right? So everyone knows what design is, but UX, user research, is something that's yet new for a lot of people. So basically, I think one of the challenges is that stakeholders or clients might not really understand what the value is. Having said that, the main concerns that are being raised by stakeholders are mainly about the perceived high costs of user research, the time that is required, because we know user research actually often, I mean, you can do it in 1 week, but often it might also take 3 weeks, so it will stretch the timeline. And the third point is really the uncertainty of tangible outcomes. So I would say these three concerns I hear the most, at least at work. And I guess depending on the nature of the project, the organizational structure as well, one of the challenges is maybe a bigger pain point. So we see it when we have website relaunches for bigger companies, the challenge is often actually related to the timeline, because the extra time that goes into UXR will stretch the timeline, and then basically the client's not happy because they need to have the website launched at a specific date, right? But when we have maybe more smaller work streams where we only optimize a specific element, we want to test something on a page, there the challenge is more getting the extra budget for the tools that you need to invest in to be capable to do the user research and the testing. So it always depends a bit on the nature of the project, I'd say. But these are the three main concerns. And also actually one more prevalent objection is really the phrase of saying, we already know our users. So I don't know, I feel like everyone knows these sentences as well. That's maybe in the same position, which is coming more from an overconfidence in their internal knowledge. But on the other way around, we also hear, you are the experts, you should know everything about it. Why do we need user research? You did this already successfully for many other clients, right? So that's the other way around, actually. That comes rather from a misplaced reliance on past successes, and also underestimating the unique context that you have for every industry, and the evolving needs of the current users that are also different. So basically, that's also very interesting how you hear these phrases as well a lot. So that are, I would say, the main concerns. I don't know if you want to already discuss the strategic solutions, or if you have anything that you say you can relate to.
I have a couple of things that I'm super related. I work with some clients in terms of accessibility, and I love when they say to me like, yeah, accessibility sounds like a good thing to do. I don't have the time now. This will actually put a longer time frame for releasing the product. And I always answer back like, yeah, the thing is like you are forgetting a part of the actual life cycle of a product, and maybe your product will be missing something. So it's not that you adding something, it's that you are missing something. But I really love that you mentioned how some clients think that we are the experts on the topic, and because we already work with a company, for example, in fintech, and this client's from fintech, we already have the answers, right? Not necessarily, I don't know, hire us as for consultancy. They can say like, in your experience, tell me this, and it's like, well, you do a research. No, tell me you. So yeah, it's interesting. What do you do in these cases? Like, I don't know how you address these kind of things.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, I think for us also a lot of projects we start with best practices. Yeah, and then it's always like, so let's do this benchmarking analysis, and then we know what others do and what's basically the best practice in the industry. But in the end, what I would then personally always say is that if, in case you want to really exceed the expectations and exceed your competitors, you cannot like reach for best practices and for what you've done for the others, right? You need to, like, for innovation, you really need to dive a bit deeper into the topics, and there user research basically comes into place. But yeah, that's, I would say, particular to this one, I would say, phrase, we have this. I mean, if we talk about the other phrase where you say, okay, we know our users well enough. That's another common phrase, right? That we often have on the other side. This is also, I think, very interesting, because there a strategy could be really to really talk to the client, bring the different departments together, since they already have so much know-how on their users. I mean, it's a great method, right? Doing workshops, bring the different departments together, speak to sales, speak to the customer care, speak to marketing, make them sit together and share their knowledge about the target groups. And then you will quite fast realize that people in the company do not speak with each other that much. And that there's often still untapped knowledge to get the bigger picture. So this gives you also then the opportunity to expose the gap they have internally and pitch it then right there and say, hey, you know a lot about your customers, but apparently you don't know what's the USP of your company, or you actually don't know what the customer really needs. So you seem not to have an answer to these simple questions. And this is why you need user research. So in this case, I would say, like, listen, of course, to the stakeholders, get all the information that you have, but then, tap into the potential that's still there. So that could be, one more strategy, basically, particular to this concern or to this challenge.
The idea of today is actually learn from you. So I'm taking notes, and I hope the audience are taking notes from this interview. Now that we talk a little bit of strategies and things that we can do, I know that, and from previous guest speakers and also from the industry, that the way that we can start embedding user research specifically into organizations is trying to align with business goals, right? So how we can align user experience research initiative with organization broader goals and objectives to gain stakeholders buy-in. That's the thing that we want to.
Yeah, I think in this case, I would say it's also quite similar to the strategies that we apply to gain the client's buy-in.
Exactly,
So
yeah.
in the end, we need to build up trust. We need to engage with the stakeholders. We need to make sure that we speak the same language and we use metrics that resonate with them. And I mean, of course, aligning with the business goal, that's, I think, one of the main priorities and something that should always happen at the start of a project, right? So where you really understand what's the goal and what are the different methods that we can choose from, and what's the actually method that really fits the best to reach the goal. So I think that's of course clear, like you need to have these collaborative sessions, but exactly. But if you think about gaining a stakeholder buy-in, I think building up trust, like more of the soft factors, are really like super important to get someone also basically to advocate for user research, right? So if you have this more like personal connection, building up trust, you will find someone who can speak for you, become an advocate for it, and promote your goal as well as a user researcher. So finding a champion who can encourage then other people basically in the organization that this is a good thing and this is the way to go to reach the business goals. So I think this is super important. And in general, I mean, maybe that's not only from the perspective of your clients basically buy-in, but if we talk really about general stakeholder, I mean, I also see it in my personal, like in my company, I'm working for a consultancy. So of course, also here, I need to get the buy-in from my stakeholders that user research is something we should sell. That's something that is important when we do our and execute our projects. So trying also to adjust or make it really a standardized ingredient or integral part of proposals. I think that's also important, right? When you send out a proposal, user research needs to be part of it. So it's not an add-on that that a client can buy. It should already be like an integral part of when selling a website relaunch, for instance. So that's definitely also something that can help to shift maybe the mindset in an organizational structure that is not familiar with UXR. And yeah, educating, really just having breakout sessions, presenting impacts in the town hall, right? Really making it visible. We have created like Teams channels just for UXR and Crow, and shared then the latest impact of our projects. So yeah, making it more visible. I think that's something that helps as well. Yeah.
I love that you mentioned adding this part of like the presentations. Sometimes they have the data and they articulate the data in terms of the presentation, talking with the client, but not necessarily is embedded in the presentation and you can see the entire research. And I think that is a super strategy in order to keep clients on our side. Another thing that you mentioned, and I want to share this with the audience because I learned this new. I mean,
Mhm.
it's something that we know, but sometimes we not necessarily put it on practice. We
Mhm.
know that people like learn in different ways. And the way that I try to keep my stakeholders as part of my group or part of my team and my advocates and I don't know, like even my fans in terms of the work that we are doing, right? Like my fans on accessibility,
Mhm.
is like you need to communicate in different mediums, in the mediums that make sense for them. Like we talk about a lot of talking their language. Like we mentioned so many times that if people are really into numbers, like trying to demonstrate percentage or like, I don't know, metrics, and
Mhm.
that's cool. But sometimes if you show in case important information for them in their medium, and when I mention medium, it's like this person really like to see videos or this
Yeah.
person really like to listen podcasts. If you have the information that are important for them and you pass in the right medium, you can connect even better and more with that person and can help you, that stakeholder in particular, to gain a case.
Definitely, definitely. I'm 100% convinced of that. The medium, and also basically exactly like the format, right? So maybe it must not always be like a slide presentation. Sometimes it can really just be opening, having a Teams chat just or a channel of UXR and Crow, and having like 3 bullet points is more effective, like, yeah, in this case, it's really just a snackable content, basically. We actually have a Teams channel called XD Snacks, where we
Yeah,
really like basically post. To be very honest, we're not that active anymore, but we started it.
but you have it.
When we have it, to basically post, very like interesting research, interesting results from studies that we have conducted to cater to the ones who do not have that time, to read like a whole report, but who just want to stay informed, and here and there just look into the channel to see what's new. So yeah, definitely the whole like media topic is super important. The whole like format topic, I think, is super important as well.
That's
Definitely
that's a
important.
great advice, people. Listen. This is some of the tactics and tricks.
Exactly. And to be honest, like a lot of things you often already start doing without really like thinking about it. But then when you like think about, yeah, exactly, like what have you done in the past, then you realize, oh, I actually did it. Maybe I should really push this a bit more, because it's something that that resonates with the people around me. Yeah.
And just for one moment, let's stop the conversation. Recruit participants for your UX research studies easily with Useberry. Share a link or tap into our global, verified participant pool. Easily access consumers, professionals, and niche audiences from all around the world. Explore useberry.com or connect with us on social and share your thoughts in the comments. Your journey to data-driven decisions starts now. Now that we touched on some of the starting problems and how we can manage and convince then more to be on board with user research, I want to take the opportunity and learn from you, Joy, about what are some of the examples of user research and CRO have been successfully integrated to drive measurable improvement and conversion rates. I know that this is a hot topic. Everyone wants to know how we can do the numbers.
This is really, I totally get that. This is something that a lot of people struggle with. I mean, I'm in user research or in UX for 3.5 years now, so like not like too long. But I have more of a background actually in business administration. So basically the whole topic of quantifying, bringing in the business metrics is of course also something that I'm interested in. But I also find it quite hard because another challenge is often that you have cool ideas and you execute stuff and then you tell the client, hey, this is performing better. Like, I don't know, version A is performing better than version B, but they do not execute it. And then you cannot really like connect any data and KPIs and build up a cool case study, right? So it's often a bit tricky because you need to rely also again on the on your client and on their trust in really then implementing the changes that you want to build up a case study and to connect then the KPIs to have the before and after, right? Because to get, to understand if there's an uplift of 10% in conversion rate, you need to track before and you need to track the after. So that's always a bit of a challenge. And this is why, at least in our company, we have like quite a cool setup. We have a lot of data analysts. So with them we collaborate as well, that we know if we know we want to launch, I don't know, a new ATF area in a few weeks in time, we should collect the current data already so we can build up a cool case study. But maybe just a bit more, I don't know, practical on what we have done in the past. Maybe I have like one example where also UXR and Crow was really successfully implemented. So normally with clients, we often begin with an as-is analysis and a performance data review, right? So we look into the heat maps, we look into Google Analytics, we look into several basically customer insights. And in this case, it revealed that the users were not clicking on the main conversion element in the ATF area on the homepage. Although we saw that actually this element, it was a search bar, it actually aligned with their main goals. They wanted to find something in the search bar, because we saw that in the navigation they would look for it. So we were seeing this. Okay, they are not clicking on this element, although it actually resonates with their goal, and they were also not scrolling then beyond the ATF area. So basically, they were just like not using the full potential of the page. And then we had, of course, hypothesis. So we suggested reasons around why they are not clicking on this element. One thing was because the design was quite busy. So basically they were not really like getting a clear orientation towards this main goal. Also the element itself was quite small. So maybe also the size of the element is something. So there were like some things where we said, okay, apparently that could be, or at least this could be maybe a hypothesis of why they're not doing this or why they're not converting. And also we saw no content was teased, to further scroll down on this page. So maybe that was also then another hypothesis. So we had some hypotheses around it. Then we redesigned the ATF area actually. So we optimized the size of the main conversion element. We added trust signals. We teased the USPs. Then we did a preference test. So here we did basically our second user research method. Let's say it like that, because before we looked into heat maps, then we already used these insights. Then we did the second basically user research method by doing a preference test with our new redesigned ATF area, where we then validated our assumptions to see, okay, is it really the hypothesis that we had? Like, is it the design? Is it the size of the element? And when we did this test, we could validate that it's working better, but we even got more valuable feedback for the new design actually. Because we then realized, okay, also the users disliked the imagery. So they were not feeling represented basically on this imagery. They wanted more diversity there. So that was really cool because we then adjusted also the imagery accordingly. And then we even did another test. We did an A/B test. So really to refine our approach. And then basically from there, we implemented it. And this led really to an 84% increase in really engaging with this main element on the website. And also we had an increase in clicks on the contact CTA, so on the conversion rate there as well with 5%. So this really shows how UXR and Crow really needs to be put together, right? We need to constantly understand what does the user need, really try and test things out and use all the data that we have basically to make data-driven decisions and then implement it. And that was like a really cool, success story, I'd say, where we applied several user research methods before we implemented something. And it led to good numbers, I would say.
In previous experience, I heard a lot the phrase of "there's not budget for user research," and I know that you know this. Maybe you passed the same experience. What are some of the creative approach that we can take to adjust project scopes or allocate resources to accommodate user experience research with client budgets? Sometimes I mention like, you don't think it's necessary? Let's do a try, and they buy the try. But I don't know, how about you, Joy? How you do it?
I mean, I think also this resonates a bit exactly with the challenge that you say that, stakeholders do not have budget. And I think also one strategy is here really to say, to just get innovative basically and present also UXR methods that are options also for low budget, just to, get basically, a foot into the door. I don't know, maybe just really like try to implement very lean methods. For instance, just reach out to a colleague or a friend that fits this potential target group. So we had, for instance, one example that we just applied in the past. We had a goal where we needed to optimize the menu navigation for a bank. And in order to optimize, or in order to find the optimization potential in the first place, I wanted to get, again, first-hand insights. So in this case, it was easy because it was about a bank, a sustainable bank. So we just reached out to people, actually colleagues here in the company, who have a bank account, which is very easy. Everyone has a bank account, right? And we just asked them if they have 15 minutes time, and just then basically ask them 3 quick questions about the usability. We got like a really great first impression of where do people click, what do they not understand in terms of terminology, in terms of usability. And it was really like low budget because every like interview took us 15 minutes. We reached out to just colleagues basically here at work, because in the end, everyone could have been a target group. And it was like a super cost-effective methodology, right? And I don't know, I mean, I think maybe also this like statistic, but from the Nielsen Norman group, they also found that speaking to only 5 people is enough to uncover 85% of the usability issues. Just speaking to 5 people can already be, enough to get at least a good starting point. And then from there you can go and try to then like basically show what great valuable insights you received, and maybe then the client is hooked, and sees, insights that they wouldn't have thought about, and then they are maybe also then more willing to really invest more budget into user research. So lean methodologies, I think, is definitely one way to really get a foot into the door. In general, also, of course, prioritization. So we need to prioritize our research activities if there's not budget or not enough budget for UXR. So maybe, I don't know, when you have a product page, this product page has really the highest traffic, but users are not converting there, then just start there. Maybe just really start with one like little project. So that could be like one thing. And again, just collaborating, I guess, with the clients, trying to find like ways to engage with them if there's no budget. We sometimes ask also our clients, hey, can we speak to your customers? I mean, it doesn't cost you any budget, right? If you know your customers, you have maybe your sales team actually has a good relationship to them. Can we speak to 2 or 3 of them? And this already helps at least, So this is, I think, one thing. And maybe one of the last thing I think that helps as well is to just really leverage the existing resources. So as I said, like maybe looking to Google Analytics can already help as well. Like using the tools that you have to look into conversion funnel, bounce rates, etc. That is also something that doesn't cost you a lot of money, or actually no money. And I guess there are also a lot of tools, UXR and Crow tools, that allow you to test them. So maybe that is also sometimes a good solution, to just take a tool, just test it out, and then show the client also what you could do with this tool, and then ask them to kind of like how you say, but to extend on the plan and actually pay for it, basically. So different ways of basically, I think, tapping into UXR, and then from there slowly getting the client to understand the extra value of user research. Yeah.
So we have this particular client that said that they don't have budget, but also we have this type of client that says, oh, I already know my users. I already know to do the research. I do our research. And when we know that research could be biased, and when we see that research and we see a lot of information, or we saw that they don't have like the correct parts, or they don't do it properly, how we can address this diplomatically, and advocate for more comprehensive approach to doing research?
Yeah, also very good question, actually. I think comprehensive approach is already a good keyword, to be very honest. I would phrase it exactly like this.
Comprehensive approach.
Comprehensive approach. But just really frankly speaking, from my past experience, I would just always be very honest with the client, really explaining the limitations that you see in this study, by also maybe using supporting theory, scientific frameworks, I mean, limitations or having just different biases is a very common thing in research. And there hardly also exists like studies that do not have any limitation, right? So I think it's totally fine if you're honest with the client, explain why you have the concerns. But also, on the other hand, I mean, it's also always the way of how you do it. And I think if you can also acknowledge that they actually spend effort and time and budget, they invested all of that in really understanding the users, showing that you also maybe understand why they might have chosen this research in the first place, just, basically like seeing eye to eye with them. I think this is always like a good foundation, right? And then you can really frame it as a partnership, basically, that you aim at really enhancing the existing efforts that they already have. Then instead of saying, you dismiss their work entirely. So more like to foster really a constructive dialogue, encourage an openness to new perspectives, and really, like exactly as you said, just phrase it as a more comprehensive approach. You build up on the insights, right, by maybe, validating them. And then you can at least also, in the end, maybe say, we were not able to validate your data, but we build up on that, and we used your previous work. It was not something that you've done and that's now being thrown away, I guess. So I think this could be like a good way to approach it. Yeah.
I love your approach of using as a foundation, but also like be with the clients. Like it's grabbing their hand and go together.
It's like what collaboration and what also good client relationship in the end, is all about. I would say yes.
I know that I'm getting like harder with the questions, but I promise that I really want to be your friend. So what happened about transparency? I know that we talk about a little bit of like, if this client doesn't have the correct approach, we can hold their hand and work together. But what happened when sometimes we know that this is not working as the way we want to? How we maintain transparency with clients and keep it informed?
I mean, I think transparency, again, it comes with me with also honest communication. And open communication. So I think this is really like important also because if we say building up trust, right, is one of the main ways of getting to a stakeholder and also convincing them, for instance, user research is important. I think in this case, you need transparency and honest communication if something is not working well. But in general, I would say communication, it should happen on a frequent basis, I guess it would be more the usual initiatives, having a roadmap where you can really follow the plan, take the client by the hand, exactly as you said. Maybe map out the different user research methods that you would apply explain why you would apply which method for which work stream, because I mean, there is a big pool of different tools that we can use. So in this case, being like transparent about what works in which way. And then, of course, if we see, okay, a specific user research did not provide the answers that we wanted, maybe we need to do another round. Then that's also something I think you can like openly communicate and discuss. Hey, we have these insights gained so far, but we realize we only got these insights from one specific target group. And we know there might be another target segment that could be important. Shouldn't we try to, launch another study for the segment? I think that's like very, very, in the end, also from a client perspective, I mean, it always depends a bit on their UXR maturity, let's say it like that. But I don't want, also for me as someone who's a consultant, I don't want a consultant to just, sorry for the word, but bullshit with me, right?
Yep.
I want like an honest communication, and I want someone who is an expert, and an expert can also say, hey, the research that we did, the outcomes that we have is not that satisfactory, it only to this extent. Maybe we should actually add on that at a later point in time, or maybe they can then do it if they don't want to pay for it now. Just like say there's potential for optimization in this and that research area. So I would say very transparent basically on the limitations or on the gaps that you might see along the process. And then just having really regular check-ins, updates, reports. I think this is something that we all know. I think also another really cool way is always to have interactive workshops and boards. That's always a cool method, or also cool tools to collaborate. I mean, to be very honest, in our company, we have worked with PowerPoint a lot in the past. So actually Mural, Miro, all the Figma, all the more collaborative tools were only introduced some years ago. And these are really becoming the main tool to collaborate with the client. And we see the joy that they have when using them, because exactly that's also again a way of transparency. You can really follow the process of analysis, and in the PowerPoint often you might not see that like whole thought process. You can see the result, you see the deliverable, but this is like so nice that if you have more of those collaborative tools, you can understand what was the process to actually to actually come to this final deliverable. So I think this is also a really great format. Yeah.
Talking about tools, I have a tip that I learned in I don't know, I will not say it in a hard way. I think it's beautiful. In that moment, it was not. I'm part of the LGTB community, and when I try to go out of the closet, as we use the phrase, I remember that I say to myself, I will say this to my mom when she do the question, because I will know that she's prepared for the good or the bad, right? So she's prepared for something if she's asking the question. And it works almost there, almost well. But she was prepared for something, for some type of answer. And I use that for my clients too. I do a sort type of like dynamic that every time that I need to do a communication with the client or a meeting, I always put the good and the bad news. So I always prepare to the client for something bad. And sometimes it kind of be funny. The bad thing is like, I finished my coffee and I don't have energy. But they know that we have a moment for talk about hard things or bad things or difficult things. So when I need to communicate something that is actually bad, they are prepared already that that's the moment to have the strong conversations. And it really helped me. I mean, again, I just put in my strategies out there. Take it if you like it, and take it if it actually works for you. For me, in the past couple of years, has been working in order to put like a moment and a clear channel to address situations.
I love this. This is such a great tool. I didn't hear about this before, so I will definitely take this with me. You can be heard of that.
That's cool. I love when we have the opportunity to share knowledge, and I think this is the best way to learn. Like, learn from people. Like, you can learn from a book, that's cool. You can learn from, I don't know, for a class, that's awesome. But when
Yeah,
you have this kind of conversation that you are learning from other people's lives, it's amazing. It's
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 amazing.
it's
I
super
love it.
cool. And talking about that, talking about your life, sometimes I just be in LinkedIn and I just check my guest speakers. Sorry, I'm a stalker online. And I know that you do a lecture. You was a guest lecturer, applying user experience research. Sorry that I cannot pronounce the name of the college. I tried myself, really, but it's a little bit tricky in terms of the language.
Fine.
Um, Congratulations on that, by the way. I'm curious to know how meaningful it's for you to share your knowledge with future generation of researchers, and if you have any recommendation for people in the audience that listen to you and really want to enter to the industry.
Yeah, first of all, thank you for that. Actually, it was really my first time that I presented at a college. So,
What is the name? What is the name of the college?
so basically, like the city, I think that's also the one that you say is it's the more like tricky part, which is like Nuremberg. But in general, like the university name is Technische Hochschule Nürnberg.
I will try, but it never will go in that specific tone.
Basically, it's the technical college of the city, or technical university of the city. Let's say it like that. But yeah, no, thank you very much. In general, like sharing knowledge is incredibly meaningful to me. I mean, as a young professional, I always sought out learning opportunities, and I still continue to do so today. Yeah, I mean, my recommendation also for future talents is to stay curious, to attend interesting events, do not shy away from that because you might not know the people, etc. I know that I did that when I was in college, and today it's easier for me, but still not that easy to, just attend maybe, yeah, just events where not any person. And really also never hesitate to ask questions. Also something I'm still struggling with. But there are no dumb questions. And if you ask questions, that's like really how you learn. Otherwise, you won't, right? And as I already said a bit earlier, I have more this background in business administration. So, and then basically my path brought me into UX design, and that happened also because of some unforeseen opportunities. And yeah, I'm so happy I just took the chance basically and was not afraid to do it. And I think in this case also what really helped me was the importance of mentorship, really like mentorship, and actually great colleagues. I love my colleagues at work. Yeah, really seek mentorships, people that love to share knowledge as well, because they can provide you with great guidance and support, and also, yeah, powerful, right? Basically, they can have a powerful impact on your career. And also this might be then also the basically the turning point where at some point you are willing to mentor others in your career as well, right? So yeah, having really strong, supportive professional community is something that's super valuable. Yeah.
I cannot say how much has changed my career and my professional career has having a mentor. And
Yeah.
I've been obsessed with mentors, that I try to have a mentor in different areas of my life. I have mentors for UX design. I have mentors specifically for graphics. I have mentors specifically for business. Because, I mean, in Spanish, we have a phrase that says, no aprendes por cabeza ajena. You don't learn from another person's head, right?
Yeah.
Because you need to live that experience yourself in order to learn. But it will help you. It will guide you. It will give you to the with your hand, right? It will grab you with your hand.
Yeah.
So yeah, mentors are really, really important in order to grow. I always recommend it, definitely.
Same.
So we are getting to the end of the episode, but before we go, I want to thank you, Joy, for sharing your knowledge. Has been an amazing interview, super funny, super like practical. I really enjoyed my time with you, Joy. Thank you so much for being part of If You Sick.
Yeah, of course, same for me. I really love the questions. Very interesting questions. I also felt like, yeah, we had really great vibe here, although we are like talking remotely. And yeah, felt like super appreciate that you invite me.
It will be to the next episode of If You Sick. Thank you for joining us on If You Seek. For more exciting content, follow us on our social channels. Your review means the world to us, so don't forget to leave one. And of course, hit that subscribe button on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Spotify to stay updated on our latest episodes. If You Seek is a platform for discussions and personal insights. The opinions presented by guests are independent and do not represent the official position of the host, Useberry, or our sponsors. See you on the next episode of If You Seek.